When talking about Persona games, most discussions tend to only be about Persona 3, 4, or 5, mostly because they're the most popular and easily available compared to the previous ones. But with a Persona 4 remake on the horizon, I'd like to talk about the game that started it all, and how I hope it will get a remake one day, not because I think the game itself doesn't hold up. The sprite work is really good and the animations are pretty expressive. Though in terms of expressiveness, I think Persona 2 is the better one, but I do think that certain parts of the game are a bit rough around the edges. Originally released in 1996 on the PlayStation 1 as Revelation Persona in the US and later remastered on the PSP as Shin Megami Tensei Persona, the game was originally meant to be a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series, hence why every Persona has the Shin Megami Tensei title on its covers until Persona 5 dropped it. I'll be showing footage from the PSP version as it's much closer to the original, since for some reason the US version on the PS1 was heavily westernized by changing names for characters, persona and locations, and even changing the sprites to make the characters look more Caucasian. On top of that, the game only allows you to get one of the two endings, as the Snow Queen quest is only available through cheating, but it's unplayable as all the text is untranslated, and due to engine limitation, it will appear as corrupt garbage. Just like its successors, Persona is a JRPG where you use your persona to fight off demons and explore dungeons and end up saving the world through various means. Now this game is infamous for its exploration mechanics where you wander around the dungeons in first person and slam into walls, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. If you ever played Persona Q or Q2, then you practically experience the Persona 1 exploration gameplay, as well as being able to give multiple personas to party members. Speaking of party members, you're able to recruit certain characters in each route, but you are limited to only having 1 out of the 4 in the Sebec Route and 2 out of the 4 in the Snow Queen quest. It is an odd choice that was probably made to add replayability. Most of them are pretty easy to recruit and you meet them throughout the story and get a choice to let them join you or not. The only exception is Reiji, who is a great help when negotiating with demons, but you need to do some really specific stuff to recruit him. The story takes place in St. Hermeline High in the fictional Japanese town of Mikajicho. Here, some classmates discuss trying out a parallel game called Persona, which apparently can make you see the future or have some paranormal event happen. Some of the kids are skeptical, while others insist the game's power is real. The game consists of having 4 people stand in the 4 corners of a room. The one on the top right starts calling out the persona and then heads to the next person going counterclockwise. And then they have to repeat the process until the last person is where the first person started. At first, nothing seems to happen, much as in the May of the Believers. However, a ghostly child appeared in the middle of the room, asking us to help her, and we pass out along with the ones who didn't play the game. While unconscious, we meet Philemon, a being that dwells between conscious and unconscious. He gives us the power to summon our persona, the power of our hidden self. After we wake, we're told by our teacher to get checked out at the hospital and pay a visit to Maki Sonomura, a classmate who's been in and out of hospital throughout her life due to some illness. Before going there, we can explore the school and talk to a bunch of people who will give us some extra dialogue. We also find the principal guarding a hole in the wall and other students that will help us later on. As we leave, we meet Nanja's butler, who believes the group is his master's friend and follows us through the hospital. Here we try to cheer Maki up, but she suddenly starts to feel ill, so she's taken to the ICU. But while we wait for any news, an earthquake seems to hit the town, and after it comes down, we find that the ICU door seems to lead nowhere, as a nurse screams as she's being attacked by some dead patients. Luckily, we can fight the demons off with our new persona powers, but we're unable to save the butler, which upsets Nanjo. Going back, we find that the hospital's layout has changed and it's now filled with demons. After some exploring, we meet up with Ellie and we find out that the town seems to be surrounded by a barrier that won't allow anyone in or out. She also tells us that Maki's mother has passed out at the shrine. Here, Maki's mother tells us that all of this was a result of an experiment by the Sebec company. Apparently, they were working on a machine that could affect reality called the Deva system. Nanja and Mark head out to prepare to take down Sebec while we help Maki's mother get to the school, as it seems to be the only place in town that isn't swarmed with monsters. From here, the story splits into two routes depending on where you go. If you head out of the school, you'll find that Maki is fine and she is willing to help. Together with Nanja, we save Mark, who has been taken by the demons in the police station. While on the way, Maki seems to act differently, seemingly having no memory of her hospital stays, not even knowing what a police station is. But we really don't have time to figure that out, as we save Mark and Brown and head to the secret entrance to the Sebec building to confront Kandori, the company's president and the man who shot Maki's mother. He ends up escaping while we fight his bodyguard, but we quickly find him near the Deva system with Dr. Nikolai, the man who built the machine. The two enter the machine, but it turns out the doctor was planning to use it to kill himself and Kandori. We're given a choice to press a button to either save both or kill them faster. But no matter what we do, a girl called Aki appears out of nowhere and knocks us out while saving Kandori. When we wake up, we find ourselves in the school from a year ago. However, certain things are definitely different, and we later discovered that this is an idealized version of the town. To get Kandori, we need to find a mirror to defeat the shadow guarding the subway, and then find Mai, the girl from the beginning, who will lend us her broken compact, which is the key to entering the castle where Kandori and Aki are hiding. Kandori tells us that he made Deva system so he could become a god and find meaning in his life. After we defeat him in his first phase, he gets overtaken by his persona, Narlotap, and after defeating him, he tells us that the Maki that's been following us is not the real one. She is just an idealized version of her, born from the real Maki's heart. Even Aki and Mai are part of Maki, as the soul reality was created by herself when she somehow linked with the Deva system. Depending on what we told Mai before going to Kandori, we can get a bad ending where Mai erases Aki and brings the ideal Maki back to the ideal world, leaving the real Maki to be stuck in a coma forever with no way to save her. However, if we are nice to her and supportive, we will get the good ending, in which we decide to help Maki take back all parts of herself, including the parts of Maki that wants to destroy the world with the Deva system, Pandora. On the way there, we also meet our older self. Depending on some choices in the game, he will give us some totems to use while fusing personas, which will allow us to unlock everyone's ultimate personas. I couldn't really get any footage for that because I suck at the demon negotiations, and the few that I succeeded at refused to join, anyways, we find Pandora, and the introduction to the fight is kind of off-putting, as we get a short animation, at first only seeing Maki's face, only for the camera to slowly zoom out as more parts of the boss are shown. Pandora's design is interesting, as this seems to be the inspiration to the shadows in Persona 4, as it's confirmed to be part of a Maki, and it seems to represent negative sides of hers. Maki's face, placed in what looks like a cocoon bursting out of a woman, could represent her feeling like a parasite on her mother and the people around her, as in the beginning of the game she tells us that her mother is too focused on work to visit her. In phase 2 of the fight, the cocoon retreats inside the woman, and from her back she bursts out as a weird butterfly fairy fusion thing. This form and transformation could symbolize how Maki believes that she will be healed only after she has bleached off her mother, as the woman part in Pandora seems to die in the process. All of Maki's parts fuse back into her, which allows her to restore the world back to normal after she confesses her love to us. Film 1 gives us one last speech before we return to reality, and we find out that Maki has been cured of her illness. We get a few scenes with the party, as well as a little epilogue telling us what happened to each character after the main stories, and then the credits roll. But what if instead of leaving the school, we did something else? The Snow Queen route is foreshadowed at the beginning of the game if you talk to students and explore the school instead of just heading straight to the hospital to visit Maki. In the theater club, you will see some students discussing which play to pick, and one of them almost suggests the Snow Queen before getting shut down. As it turns out, the play is part of an urban legend in the school. In previous years, whoever wore the mask of the Snow Queen died, except for Saiko, the current homeroom teacher, who had her friend die instead. We end up finding the mask only for Saiko to wear it as a joke, but she ends up possessed by the spirit inside of it, which ends up freezing the school and the whole town. The Snow Queen tells us that to free Saiko we need to defeat her, and the souls of the people who were killed in the mask in 3 towers that she has created inside of the school. Philemon tells us that the only way to save Saiko and truly defeat the Snow Queen is with the Demon Mirror, which can remove the source of the mask's curse. However, it has been shattered into 12 shards, and we have to go and find at least 8 of them before trying to fight the Snow Queen, or else we will not be able to fight her and dispel the curse, thus leaving the school and the rest of the world to be completely frozen. But if we do find at least 8 shards, then we will find out that the spirit that possesses Saiko is her former classmate Tomomi Fujimori, who was horribly disfigured by the mask when she wore it in place of Saiko. Using the mirror, we are able to free Saiko and bring her peace, only for us to find out that Tomomi herself was controlled by the Night Queen Asura, and after we defeat her, the whole town is freed from the curse. After the credits, you get an extra cutscene where you and your party meet back up with Mark after the whole town has unfrozen, and you will ask us to help him save Maki, implying that the Snow Queen route is probably canon and happens right before the actual Sebec Route, although I'm pretty sure it's meant to be vague enough to be up for debate. In both routes, there is some post-game content in the form of the Mikage ruins in the Sebec Route and Devil's Peak in the Snow Queen's route. They are available even before finishing the game, but you won't be able to get to all of the floors until you're finished with it. These dungeons are mostly just a way to grind experience and spell cards, especially in the Snow Queen route, as the towers are time dungeons and you have no way to save or heal without using item or spells. Each floor has a set encounter rate with more powerful enemies the higher you get, and on the final floor you get to fight 6 very difficult bosses, and that's about it. Despite both routes having a pretty short story and some weird difficulty curves, I still think that the game holds up. I really doubt that Atlus will actually remake this game, as it is very different from the modern Persona games, with no social links nor a time limit to finish its route. But one can imagine a perfect reality where Atlus acknowledges the older Persona games. If you have any suggestion for a game I should review, or just to correct some mistakes that I might have made, feel free to comment, and if you liked this video, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.